Well, since I started this, I don't know if it'll show up for both of us, but I'm JM Guilfoyle under Nerdy Mom Writes. Somebody's
I
internet connection is unstable. It's probably mine. Grand. Love that for me.
or mine.
And you can call me Jen, and I'm here with Ansley.
And Ansley Ashe of Ansley Ashe Mysteries. And Jen and I know each other IRL, so we're here. What are we here to talk about? You asked me on. What do we want to talk about?
I did ask you on. So I figure like everything for me lately has been surrounding cozy stuff and just like trying to get back into A habits and B like I've had so much BS going on in my life, and people who are on my blog know that, like, because I wrote a whole thing in like December about what happened in our family and stuff. And even like writing wise, I'm still trying to just like get back into like all of my habits and routines. So I am in the cozy phase. It is also freaking cold because we are in the Midwest of the United States, and
Oh
it
my
is
gosh,
still -1 by me. I don't know what it is by you.
it's about the same here. It's so cold that I had to put the space heater on in my garage so my car would start this morning.
Oh, yeah, no, don't like
That's
that. Don't like that for us. Yeah, I've been lucky. I haven't had any like pipes burst or anything, but like I know friends who've had like pipes burst and like it's not fun. The kids were not happy that I was like, you have to wear socks today when you go to school. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, because kids.
okay.
So.
So
But
what
yeah,
I do,
reading.
whether you want to talk about it or not, I'm talking about it. But the thing is if it's cold outside, you should be knitting. This is my knitting project.
I don't knit.
Um,
I crochet. You know that, and I'm in the
you
middle
do
of a
knit.
multicolored kraken.
We always, yes, I love the Krakens. I'm gonna have to buy one from you when you have one
Yes.
done. Like you get one done and like colors are like, okay, so this is like
Which,
a
by the
hot mess.
way, here's the book, and I have the actual because I think last time I showed you just like the screenshot on
Yes,
Amazon. This
it's
is the
so
book that I
cute.
use. I also have made the Mothman out of here, which was super cute, but I made him hot pink, so I have a hot pink
No,
Mothman.
so that makes him Moth Woman, right?
Obviously, that is
Or
correct.
or just a fabulous Mothman. Either way.
I mean, he or she. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like they are the most fabulous Mothman.
Okay, so
Clearly.
I'm making a hooded scarf. This is for my mother's birthday, which is tomorrow, so we're obviously not going to get it done on time. Sorry, Mom. Sorry,
Clearly,
Mom.
clearly, yeah, it's okay.
Like, I've been busy. All right, so what have you been reading? Let's talk about
Oh
what
my
we've been
god.
reading.
Well, because me being like into the cozy stuff. Okay, so like the actual stuff that I finished. Should we start with stuff we finished recently?
Yeah.
Okay, so stuff I've finished recently has primarily been manga because you know me, it's absolutely unclear that I am a huge nerd. So manga because they're short, they're sweet, they're easy to get through, but also like they're very comforting to me. Like I love manga. So I've been reading I was actually at the kids had book fair and I was running book fair of course because of course I run book fair.
But you're a
And
great man.
I try to be. I got Pokemon Journey. You're gonna laugh at me. You're gonna laugh at me so hard. No, so I was
Well,
reading Pokemon Journeys while I was at Capricorn last week.
yeah, my kids love Pokemon though. I mean,
No, no,
like
no. I love Pokemon too, and I've got like a box of cards here because I've been doing opens of like cards because they're impossible to find right now on my YouTube and stuff. But no, so like, but like, this is me. We're talking about like I am the mom who like when my kids were into Paw Patrol. I had to come up with stories, right? Like, why did Ryder was clearly emancipated from his parents, and that's why he was living in the tower, and he had the business with his dogs. And I'm like, it's like the writer brain, right? Like it's like the crazies. So then I'm like reading this. I'm like, I don't get it. Where does this fit in the timeline? Either way, it's really cute, and I really liked it. And it's very refreshing. It's very sweet. Um, it is clear Ash is totally ADHD in this. Yeah, he's always been like very ADHD, but yeah. So this is like probably this, and then okay, shonen is not exactly the most cozy, but like I love shonen. Like it has warm, feely vibes for me, and that can be like a whole nother live that we can talk about that. I finally picked up Chainsaw Man.
welcome to lunch with Ansley and Jen. This is how every lunch with us
This is
goes.
cozy. This is
I
totally
know.
cozy. It's about a man and his demon dog, and the demon dog dies to save him, and then they go kill demons. That is clearly cozy.
That is, and it's not dark at all.
Not dark at all. It's fine. No, like the thing is, like, like 99% of shonen, and including this, have like really sweet storylines in them. So like the actual whole thing of like Denji and like loving Pochako and like or Pochaka and like Pochita, and like the fact that Pochita like sacrifices himself to save him, like it is really sweet. So much of it is clearly not sweet, but like it's funny because like I have found like some of the most like impactful emotional manga have been like the ones that are on that dark side, like Tokyo Ghoul, um Devil's Line, things like that, where they deal with like these demons and dark things and stuff, but like the root of it is very like sweet, and like there's a lot of emotion in it. Anyways, I'm
But
I'm
you
I'm
do,
on the fence though about this one. Like I like the concept, and maybe it's just the manga doesn't delve deep enough, and maybe the anime delves deeper. I don't know.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think like every once in a while, because they're separate mediums and the
Yeah,
stories don't always translate as well. And so, like, I think that's fair.
yeah.
I think that's
So
the way that.
because this has been like wildly popular, like when season one of the anime came out, it was like hugely popular. So I don't know.
Of course.
I'm on the fence about it. I like the concept. It's not my favorite. Like it's not like I'm gonna rush out and buy like all the manga. So that's that. I mean, unlike Apothecary Diaries, which I've been reading the light novels for, this is the first manga, but I've been reading the light novels for this. I have been devouring them. And I keep purchasing them ahead. So I have like 8 of them and I'm on like number 5 or whatever. So like, you know. But I will let you tell me a little bit about what you have been reading before I keep going.
She's like, I'm reading all the things. Okay.
I'm reading
So
all the things, but they're the fast things. So I have a pile
the big, huge pile.
of manga.
Okay. So my reading, okay. So what Jen knows, and the reason why she invited me on here is a couple of summers ago, I'm a library trustee. And a couple of summers ago, I read 50 books between and blogged them between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And I'm not reading, a novel, like a literal novel every other day. And this is going to become really obvious to you. So the best thing that I just recently finished this is The Investigation by J.M. Lee.
And
Um,
that's Korean, right? That was a Korean translated
this
or
is, yeah, Korean set in a Japanese prison in Japan. Uh, uh, in a Japanese prison where they're holding Korean prisoners in World War II because Japan had made Korea part of its empire then, and so it was like literally illegal to be Korean, so to
this
speak
is
Korean
clearly
to do.
also cozy. This is almost as cozy as Chainsaw Man. It's very cozy.
It is. Well, it's not. It's more literary than it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
and so if you read this book, and then this book is set in the Snow Falling on Cedars, which is also an excellent movie. These two go together. This tells the story of a girl who's of Japanese descent who gets sent to the internment camps in America, set during the same amount of time, and then after the war, her white love interest is still in love with her, and together they try to prove whether or not her husband murdered a guy because neither one of them thinks she did. So that this has a really sweet love storyline, and this one has a love-ish storyline, and it's kind of sweet, but like it's literary. It's just clearly literary. Oh, and also kind of a little noir, if you know what that means. And I just love noir. Okay. So the book that I'm in the middle of right now is by Agatha Christie, The
Which one?
Hollow.
Oh, I
It's
haven't
The
read that one.
Hollow by Agatha Christie. So Agatha Christie is the queen of cozy. This is definitely a cozy book. Oh my gosh, everybody is in love with everybody in this book, and somebody ends up dead over it because that's Agatha Christie, right? So it's a book about the murder victim's name is Dr. John Christou. He fell madly in love with this lady who wanted to be an actor. And she was like, I'm going to America. You can be a doctor in America. And he's like, heck no, I'm staying in London and you're just like a narcissist. And he left her and he went and he married this like very boring woman a little bit later, and they had 2 kids, and now he's bored with the boring woman, and he's having an affair with an artist. So the actress is in love with him, the artist is in love with him, the wife is in love with him, right? And he ends up dead, and I'm just gonna say one of the 3 of them killed him. But I'm about halfway through this novel. It's all
So
of
it's
your
like a
cozy.
harem mystery, murder mystery.
It's
Like
very Agatha
the
Christie.
harem series, the harem, like, genre is like women in love with like a man, right? Like, a lot of them. But then it's a
Yeah,
murder mystery of who
yeah.
murdered him. Okay.
Yes, but they don't all live together, they all live separately, and none of the well, the artist knows about the other 2, but the wife doesn't know about either one of the other ones, and the actor knows about the wife, but not about the artist, and when
This
she finds
feels
out
like
about
very Springer though in a book.
it is, it is, and Agatha Christie is, like, so great at this. Okay, what makes Agatha Christie great, the reason why she set the cozy genre, and it hits, like, what became the cozy genre, but it's a puzzle mystery, so that means, like, you have, like, clues all throughout the way. Although there aren't as many, this is more like a straight novel, where it explores their inner lives. But it's set in a rural village. It has a closed circle of suspects, so there's a limited number of suspects. And the thing is like most people don't talk about how good Agatha Christie is at making characters, but the characters in this book pop off the page. The hostess, Lucy Angatel, I can't pronounce her name. But the lady of the house, she's a 60-year-old lady with ADHD and she keeps burning up the tea kettles. I love it. She like
Did
puts
you
it on and
say
then she's like,
burning up the tea kettles?
yeah, because she puts them on to make tea, then she forgets that she's put it on to make tea, and she goes and does whatever else, and her poor servants are like, "Oops, we forgot to turn the kettle off because we forgot that she sometimes makes it in the middle of the day, and we didn't know to do that." So, um, so she does that. The artist is, oh my gosh, you have a guest.
I
Hi,
have a guess.
sweetie.
I kept seeing him. I'm like, I'm just gonna pick. He's gonna get so angry in a minute, but that's okay. Keep going.
Um, yeah, so 2 of my 3 dogs are off screen, but they're asleep on my bed over here. Um, yeah, so like but they pop all the characters pop off the page. The artist is obsessed with like, oh, how does this face look? Did I get the curve of that line right? Did I sculpt it right? Like she just is so obsessed with her work. Um, and kind of a little technical about it. The doctor is like bored. You can feel how bored he is. The wife is neurotic. You can feel how neurotic she is. Like the actor is just a complete narcissist, and she's like, "But surely you love me, and I'm amazing," and la 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 la. So a little crazy. So like, I love that. Okay, so that's what I have been reading. Agatha Christie's read incredibly fast. She writes with small words, small sentences, and short chapters.
Now,
So, and her books,
do you know if this one, because I know like a lot of her early novels were serialized first in magazines before they were novelized. Was this one of the
this
ones
one
that
was,
was serialized? Okay.
yes. And then she was angry at how much they cut out, so then she added it all back in for the novel. Yes.
I mean, that's fair.
And if you want to know about those things, there's an excellent podcast that has covered every single one of her books called All About Agatha, and it's run by Kemper Donovan. And it was started by him and his friend Catherine Bobeck. And then, spoiler alert, but Catherine had an undiagnosed heart condition and she passed away just before they got done doing the books. It's like all the tears and everything. So he only had like 5 books to go and she passed. So it
Oh,
was really, really sad. I cried for like days and days and days and days. But I actually didn't find out because like I don't ever start a podcast like that does an ambitious project until they're done with the project because I don't want to be halfway through a podcast and they don't get done. So the announcement came out that he was finishing the podcast. I was like, yeah, I can finally download it. I didn't know she'd passed away. And
so you're like listening to it and then like, bam.
no, I was reading an article about how great it was that he was finally going to do it, and that who he had invited to be the final guest. And I found out she passed away, and that's when I stopped reading it because like I didn't want to know who the final guest was. So I cried for days and days and days that she passed. And then I started the podcast because I knew it was done, and I also knew it was going to be sad when. Yeah. Okay, and then the next one is we're doing a book from my favorite author, and this she does mostly mysteries, but she's got a couple of it's called Come Armageddon by Anne Perry. Um, you either know why Anne Perry is notorious or you don't.
I
Um,
I I do not. I
you do
will
not.
admit I do not.
Okay, so she's quite so Agatha Christie quite scandalous because when her husband was having an affair and he was trying to leave her, she disappeared for like I don't know like a week, and she used her husband's mistress's name, like a bastardization of her name, to check into a hotel, and she was like missing for a week, and like the entire nation was searching for her, and they all thought that he killed her, and I was like, oh, great revenge. Okay, but Anne Perry even more notorious. So she was born Juliet Hume, and she and her friend Pauline Parker. killed Pauline's mother when they were teenagers, quite brutally. And it is literally New Zealand's like crime of the century that they
Oh
did
my
this,
god.
right? So yes, it's quite the drama. So what happened is
The
Anne's
drama,
parents had
the
moved her from place to
drama. That is not just the drama.
the drama, right? And so the basic story behind that, you by the way, you can see the whole story. What if you're into Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson did the movie. It's one of Kate Winslet's first, it's one of Melanie Linsky's first, right? It's called Heavenly Creatures. It came out in 1994, which is like the 40th anniversary of when they did the murder, right? Somebody was going to do it. Peter Jackson's partner slash wife, I don't know what their legal status is, whatever. She was obsessed with this story, right? And so they wanted to do something that was sympathetic to these teenage girls, both of whom had been basically abused by their parents in different ways. Anne had been completely neglected by her parents growing up. And like if their parents were just awful people. I mean, like they were just awful people. So what happened is Anne's parents were going to uproot her. They thought because it happened in the 50s, right? They thought that Anne and Pauline were in a lesbian lovers,
Which
and
was,
that was like, oh my gosh, you're gay. We can't have that. It's the 50s, whatever. And Anne's dad, biological father, gets fired from his job, so he's got to move back to England, right? So the girls don't want to be split up. They're best friends, maybe possibly lesbian lovers. They both deny it, but there's enough rumors coming out of the jail that it's probably true. Um, and um, and Pauline wants to go with Anne. And of course, Pauline's mom is like, you're 15, you can't do that, right? Totally reasonable thing. So the girls are like, okay, this is a wild story. So the girls, so much teenage thinking. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, we'll stow away on a boat. We'll go to America. We'll be writers, and we'll like write for movies, or we'll be New York Times bestsellers or whatever. But first, we have to kill Pauline's mom. Okay. And that sounds so crazy. Like, oh my gosh, you're just going to catch a boat. It's like everybody is so caught up before they kill the mom about like the thing that is totally crazy is that they thought they were going to go to America and be writers, right? And so they kill the mom. But it turns out Anne Perre, before everybody knew that Anne Perre had been Juliet Hulme, was already a New York Times bestselling author. So the thing that made that crazy was that you have to kill your mom first. They should have just run away.
oh
But they were
yeah,
kids and they
obviously.
didn't know. And my very favoriteest part about this is there's this very famous psychologist who read all of Anne's juvenile work, and she's like, she's got no literary talent whatsoever. So there's this moment in time before he figures out who she is in her second life, where he is preaching about how she has no literary talent whatsoever, and she's on the New York Times bestseller list. When he found out, he had to retire. That Okay, so that's not why I love her. She's just a great writer. But yeah,
That's fair.
Come Armageddon is part of her fantasy series, but mostly she writes historical mysteries. She's got so many of them. Her first sets were set in Victorian. I like the William and Hester Monk series the best. I think that's her literary best. And then she has several that are set in World War II ish time, World War One ish time. So like up to just before she was born.
Mhm.
So that's who she is. I'm
So
reading all the way through.
what's the one that you're
Yeah,
reading? What time period is that one set in?
this is Come Armageddon. This is one of her fantasies.
Oh, that's one of the fantasies. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Um,
We were
and
talking
they,
about the other ones before, and like that was still stuck in my head because that one's like like historical.
yeah, it's a fantasy, and it's a kind of a little religious fantasy. It's
Yeah.
like both fantasy and religious. But if you're into that stuff, I am not particular. I mean, her fantasy work isn't bad. I read some fantasy stuff. I'm just not.
Is it like
I just
high
don't have.
fantasy? What kind of fantasy is it? Is it like dragons and magic? Is it like Lord of the Rings? Like there's not like a whole lot of magic, but there's like elves and dwarves and what
It's
kind?
more Lord of the Rings than
Okay,
anything, but I it's so hard to describe. It's high fantasy, but not. Um, it's 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 religious fantasy. It's a religious Christian fantasy, I guess.
so
It's
well,
definitely fantasy, but
but not
you know,
as like because like I would say like C.S. Lewis, like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is Christian fantasy, right? And like but that is like very, very fantastical. Like you've got like, you know, the talking lions and the talking animals and like, you know, magic and like stuff like that. Like I consider that like it's like kind of what you think of as like, I don't know, to me like Christian fantasy, just because it's still got magic in it, but it's got such heavy like, you know, Christian themes in it too. And then
Yeah,
yeah.
so this is more like there's so
So it's like
everything that you
Lord of the
yeah,
Rings, but
everything
like Christian ish.
yeah, without the dragons and without the talking animals, it's more like it kind of explores like it explores like that space where if you are a religious person, if you have a spiritual discipline where you believe like blessings come from like a spiritual realm or curses come from a spiritual realm or challenges or however you say that, and how you're supposed to stand strong in your faith through the storms of life. So there are things, sometimes they're metaphorical storms, sometimes they're literal storms, but like they're larger than life storms. So that's what makes it fantasy and magic.
Right.
um but yeah, there are no talking animals or whatever, but there are angels in it, so you know.
Okay.
um, and the thing I love most about it is, of course, the human falls in love with the angel, and the angel kind of falls in love with her, but he's not really allowed to love her back, and it's very cozy, it's very romantic.
Aww.
So it's very sweet, but there's a lot of stuff. So that's what I'm reading, and then where'd my books go? And then when I'm done with those, we'll pick another book out of our friend Gwen Tolios, who Jen hopes to have live someday.
That would be great to have Gwen live. I feel like if this goes well, like A, you and I should do it more regularly, and
Yes,
B, like get like other, you know,
yes,
authors, creatives, whatever on here, because like I think like it'd be just really great. And I love that that Substack has opened this to like everyone and not like a minimum subscriber count, like which is great.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
know,
goodness,
great.
dogs. Hold on. The dogs. There
The
you go.
dogs, how you know we're live. The dogs are crazy.
The
They're
dogs are crazy. They're making me open the door, just like when I'm doing like
in
a
and
Zoom
out.
call for the writing group. So you don't. So have you been like blindly picking? Like you just
Yeah,
recently
no,
picked a book?
even better than that, because when I told Gwen, so Gwen's bookstore was shutting down, and I was like, Gwen, here's $20. Go buy me like random books in mystery, right? Because like I am so bad at choosing for myself because I am gonna choose like a Sherlock Holmes derivative or something like that. And I was like, I need to get out of my comfort zone. And I don't really want to do a challenge. Just give me some random offers. So I put somebody else on it to do what I couldn't do myself. Even better, I hold the book up and one of my kids comes up and they close their eyes, they reach in, they pull out a book. So I don't even know what book I'm going to read. So it's like I'm not even choosing from this book. I get somebody else to randomize it for me. By the way, if you have something that you're stuck with in your life, I find like, assigning it dice, like literally roll the dice or flip a coin or whatever, turn it into a game. I know. This is why you and I
I
get along.
am a dice goblin now. Wait, where's my massive one?
If you turn it
Massive one.
into a game, my very oh my gosh. My very favorite part about this is when we got a new Roomba. They signed us up and they said, will you send this stuff back to, your metrics back to Roomba? And I was like, cool. And they were like, you can use the app. So we flipped a coin as to whether we were going to do it manually or use the app. And then we rolled the dice to see which post-sided die to see whether or not what hour of the day we were going to do it on. And then like, depending on what number came up, whether it was going to be AM or PM, right? So Roomba is like, we don't know how you're using the app. And I was like, yes, we confused the Roomba algorithm.
As an engineer, I fully appreciate that so much. Like, confuse them. Just confuse them, please.
I
Okay,
was like, all right,
I'm knocking over stuff. I'm knocking over stuff. Sorry, I'm out of my excitement. Okay, so now I have to tell you about literally the coziest book I have ever read because it goes hand in hand with what I'm currently reading. So I have recommended this book to like literally everyone, and there's like 5 of them now or 6 of them, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Have you heard of this?
oh, no,
It
hold on.
it is speculative Japanese fiction translated into English, and there are like 5 or 6 of them out now. And the concept of this is that there's this semi-magical table at this little coffee shop. And if you agree to like people like seek this coffee shop out. And so if you go there, like the idea is that if you sit at this table and you drink this special coffee, you can go back in time and witness something that happens like at that coffee shop. And they're all like short stories. So they're all like 1 to 2 chapters long, connected just by the characters that own the coffee shop and the coffee shop itself. And like when I tell you, this book wrecked me, by the way. It wrecked me. Because there was like one story that was just like so like I was bawling at the end of it. Actually at Capricorn every year, which is the science fiction convention that we Gwen and I went to and we spoke at last weekend was number 45. We're hoping number 46 happens next year. They do a panel, and this actually could be a good panel for Gray's Lake, by the way. They do a panel called would you I don't remember the exact name, but it's essentially like would you read it if you read page 119. And they actually did this book, and so the idea is like in that panel you go to page 119 and you read an excerpt, and then they ask the audience would you read this book based off that excerpt. And I had hosted an anime panel, and that page 119 panel happened right before my anime panel, and I saw somebody had this like they were talking about it and they had it up on Amazon. I'm like, you need to read this. Like they're like the characterization. So like because these are like kind of short stories but are interconnected, there's very little like description of like it's not like when you read a novel and you have like a ton of description on like a character and what they look like, maybe like their clothes or something, but like it's really just the feel and letting like people use their imagination on what they look like. It is Japanese, so you know, I mean, like it can feel a little like you don't. I'm not saying this in like a racist way, but like it's people have black hair. There's a lot of people who have black hair. You don't need to describe their hair. You can describe other things about the environment, about the feeling, the atmosphere, and the other little details aren't necessary to come across as a beautiful story. Um, Example is like the story that made me cry was, can I spoil it a little? Like it's only one short story out of like I don't know how many. There's like 5 in each book or something. And there's like 5 books. Like the story was
It's
about
your
a
show.
man.
It's our show, Jen. If we want to say spoilers, we can do spoilers. Okay.
You're right.
Spoil
Spoilers,
it.
spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I spoiled so many things at Capricorn. Spoilers. So like there's this one beautiful story. It is so beautiful. It was about this man, and he essentially I think was caring for his wife who had dementia, and she like they visited that cafe before the the cafe, and he I think he wanted to go back in time and he wanted to see her before the dementia again. And he sees her, and it's the day she's writing this letter that he refuses to open. And essentially in the letter she's talking about the fact that she doesn't want him to wait around because she knows she's getting sick, she knows she's getting worse, and like literal tears are falling, and she's just like she wants him to have a happy life and not have to worry about her while she is dying of dementia. When I tell, and then at the end of it, like he comes back to the cafe and he like, she comes in like as if it had been like a work day or whatever, but like she was really being cared for or something. And like just the tears, like that she just loves him so much, but she can't say those words anymore. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. You don't need the what I would consider the characterization of giving me a description of what everyone looks like. At the beginning, yeah, you get a description of what the cafe looks like, but you don't need like extreme, you know, like details and stuff. It's so fast paced, but it is probably some of the most emotionally impactful writing I have ever read. Like
Wow.
this is but now I'm in a rabbit hole, right? Because this is this beautiful cozy book. This is like I think like kind of the epitome of cozy. Written, you know, it's Japanese, it's translated into English. There's like 5 of them. No, now there's other ones that are just like it. So I was at Mitsuwa on Valentine's Day because of course on Valentine's Day my husband takes me to Mitsuwa because I love Mitsuwa. You're all super surprised by that. And I find this one. This one called The Restaurant of Lost Recipes. First of all, did not realize this is book 2. Doesn't matter. Picked it up. Same format. Short stories. What I would call very minor characterization. You're not getting insane descriptions like of the streets or the characters themselves. But at this one, this was from the Kamogawa Food Detective series. So people go to this little restaurant when they want to figure out a recipe from their past that they don't know. The feels.
The feels.
The
All the
feels.
All the feels.
Because like it's like think about like when you're a child and like those certain recipes that maybe a mom or your dad or your grandma made that have those emotions connected to them. And it's so interesting because people, particularly Western audiences, we talked about this at Capricorn a lot, particularly Western audiences, first of all, this is so open-ended. Like the first story that I read in this is technically my current read, but the first story I read in this is very like, it's very open-ended. You don't know the character that goes to the restaurant. He's looking for, his father made him noriben, which is a nori bento box. So it's essentially just rice, maybe some bonito flakes, and then nori on top, which is the dried seaweed. But there was something that his father did, and his father was very poor. His father was separated from his mom. There had been like his father had like a major gambling problem, which is somewhat common in Japan. But his father made him lunch every day when he was in middle school, and he tried to have. Now he's in college. He tried to have the cafeteria like recreate it, and they couldn't. Like there was just something missing. So he goes to this restaurant. He tells them about this, the story about like his father and everything. And the guy that owns the restaurant goes to the town where he grew up, where the character who came into the restaurant grew up, and asks like around because like his father was also a delivery man. He's like, well, delivery men who are blue collar tend to have like one restaurant that they go to, and they figure like he figures out which restaurant it is. He finds out everyone in this restaurant knew who his father was, had nothing bad to say about him because now his father's dying. He's not sure if he wants to go see his father, and like they tell him all these stories, and he finds out that the guy's father had asked the chef at that restaurant how to make a good like bento box for his son, and like the chef's like, oh, this will give it the most flavor. And it was like, instead of bonito flakes, he used like a certain kind of fish and like chopped it up, and I guess like the citric acid within it like helped like keep things like from spoiling and stuff when he would be at school. Anyways, you don't know at the end of the story, these short stories, if the son is going to go see the father now. There's something very open-ended about it, but there's also something so cathartic, right? Because like it's like that warm hug of like some memory from your childhood or from when you were younger, not necessarily childhood. I need it. I need them all. I need them all. I need number 1, and apparently number 3 doesn't come out in America until October. I need it.
I, as your friend, I will be here with you to hold your hand through all that waiting because, like, that's insane.
It's insane. And now,
This
even
is what
worse. I'm gonna make it worse for you. Same style. We went to the Field Museum yesterday, and they have their new cat exhibit. It's in the same style. This one's called "We'll Prescribe You a Cat," and it's broken down by cat. I haven't started reading it. Clearly, this will be after this one. But it's going to be heartwarming stories about cats. Tell me these are not like literally like the coziest things though you've ever heard of.
they are.
And they're all Japanese and all translated, and they're all the same size. Like even my husband, when he saw the cat one at the Field Museum, he's like, "Is that the same author?" I'm like, "It's not the same author, but they're all the same style." 1000%.
Okay, the next time we have like in IRL, like we'll have to learn the books back and forth.
Seriously. like so freaking good. Like all of these are just so freaking good. And like if you're looking for cozy and fast reads, because like you said with Agatha Christie, like they're not like with the exception of the fact that there's Japanese names. So like Japanese street names, Japanese restaurant names, Japanese, people names, like all the Japanese names, which for some people might be harder to read. It's less of an issue because
Yeah,
I
manga
have a
and
thing.
all.
I have a thing. And I think the only, like there's a lot of Japanese food not issues, a lot of Japanese food things in here that I don't know. Like they were bringing up like all these dishes, like the cook was making like all these dishes. He'd be like, "Oh, I'll bring you out a little spread before you um tell us about what you're looking for and stuff." And then it would be like he would name like 12 dishes, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" First of all, that's a lot, but I mean, like they'd be like small portions, but I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's a lot." But then I'd be like, this all sounds delicious, and now I'm hungry. So
So yes, so we'll definitely have to do this at Ludo lunch so we can eat after it makes us hungry. Okay, so hazards of being a writer is I have note cards everywhere. So I've made the literal notes on literal note cards for everything that you've told me for today.
well,
That's
I would
amazing.
have done that, but I didn't. But I feel like when we are done with the live, which I think we're gonna wrap up soon, we can also put it up on notes and we can email it out that these were the books that we had talked about and stuff, and they are fantastic, and that we maintain murder mysteries and demons slaying demons with chainsaws are clearly cozy.
I know,
Clearly.
clearly.
And I'm really
Clearly.
hoping that no one cancels me for what I said. Like I made the thing about the characters and not needing to like have high descriptions of them. I'm meaning it in like
Well, but I mean, when you're in an immersive, like it's immersed in a culture for which it's not like it's not the style, right? And so like if you're changing a culture, like if somebody's coming in with a cultural preset, where in Western culture that is very much
you get a
mostly
lot
our
of description. You get told a lot of things that you don't let your imagination run away with, right? Like you
yeah.
are told, and it was a it was a conversation that came up at Capricorn because we were doing the story worlds world of story structures thing, and in most East Asian forex structures, like you end up with a lot of things that are open ended that Western audiences don't like, right? Like, so a Western audience, like, if you look at like the 3 and 5 act structures that we are so ingrained with, like, there is such a definitive conclusion that you're not left wondering things. Whereas in East Asian forex structure, you can be left wondering things. Also, I would argue many short stories, you're not given all of that detail, right? And it comes up a fantastic example. It comes up in Bluey all the time because Bluey is, if you watch Bluey, clearly I have 3 children, I watch Bluey. They're 7-minute episodes. That would be akin to like a short story, right? And so like there are
The village
episodes where
people.
something happens before the episode. You have no idea what it is, but for some reason, like Bingo was in the hospital for one of them, and Bluey and Bandit decide to make her a video to make her feel better because they can't go see her. You don't know why Bingo's in the hospital. It doesn't matter why she's in the hospital. But American audiences, if you're on the Facebook groups, American audiences constantly ask, why was Bingo in the hospital? Because they need that detail. They can't let themselves form their own conclusions. They need to be told it. And that is something that we are accustomed to in a Western audience, setting. So yeah.
And as a writer, I find like going into these other expanding that culturally for me gives me more to think about because you can't I in mystery you kind of have to hit the denouement, but there are going to be other threads that you need to leave open that I would need to leave open
Yeah.
so that the audience can imagine like, oh, okay, well, like something else might happen to these characters later on and kind of like let them form their own conclusions. Okay.
Yeah. But in
Oh my
fanfic too,
god.
like we do it all the time where we don't like
Yeah.
as a fanfic writer, we don't have to write a character description because people know what Luffy looks like.
My oldest child is like dying for your next One Piece, by the way.
Wait, from my next
Yes.
One Piece?
Yes, 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 yes. That like so Rami's best friend is totally like that's their autism special interest is One Piece. And so they've been
Did you
bonding
find
over
my
One Piece.
fanfic?
Not yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet, but Rami will. Rami will. Trust me, Rami will. And
Okay.
if it's good enough, Rami will tell Miles. Miles is also my cover artist, but so just so you know. So
Awesome. By the way, we've had like 4 whole people watching.
I know that's like especially since like I didn't have time to tell my people I was gonna go live, so like
It's
none of my
okay.
people
It'll get emailed out, right?
yeah, it'll get email out. They'll figure it out. It's like surprise, here I am. We're gonna do this until I can pull my stuff together and figure it out. Right.
Well, I think we've been on this longer than I anticipated, but that's okay.
Because this is what it's like to have lunch with Ansley and Jen.
It's so much fun. We're fun people. So maybe people will watch this over lunch or over dinner or when they're cleaning. I don't know. It's almost like a podcast. Oh my god, don't even. I shouldn't say those words. Why would I say those words? No, 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 no,
You know my thing
no,
is no new project. You know my thing is no new project.
no. I don't need a new project. I need to get my serial out. I am going to get chapter 4 of my serial is going out next week Friday. Whether
I
it kills me or not.
wait, I have read every single one of them. This is the syntax one, right?
Yeah, shut down syntax. Chapter 4. I will finally freaking release it next week. I swear.
I have read them all. I am dying, and like just because I know so much has been going on, I haven't been telling you that, but like I am literally dying to find out what happens next. I can't wait. So like, yay!
Yeah,
By the
I'm
way, if
not
you're
gonna
my
lie. If I remember correctly, 4 ends on a cliffhanger. So good luck.
cool. If you're one of my subscribers, syntax is a mystery. So if you're into mysteries and you're one of my subscribers, go subscribe to JM Guilfoyle. Get a good mystery and some good sci-fi stuff
A
in there.
sci-fi mystery because I have no genre. I write in all of the genres. I have fantasy and contemporary fantasy
Because
and
your genre
romance.
is creative. Your genre is creative. It's like whatever pops into her mind, she's going to write it, and your work is fantastic for it. So, literally fantastic for it. So,
And you, Ansley, have a new mystery out. Well, are you doing once a month releases right now of your novellas, right?
they're holiday related. Yeah. So we did New Year's and we did Valentine's Day. So like you can, both are out on Amazon right now. Next one out will be Memorial Day. So then it'll be Memorial Day, July the 4th, Labor Day, um,
No St.
Halloween,
Patrick's Day, huh?
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
No St. Patrick's Day.
So I wanted to do a St. Patrick's Day, and a story just never popped into my head for St. Patrick's Day. Um, and like there keeps being one outside, but I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, because basically what I don't want to do is I don't want to have her show Charlie, that my protagonist. I don't want to have her show up and like break up a drunk brawl. So I'm like, okay, what can I do that's very Irish? And I just don't have like an Irish celebratory mystery thing to do. But I will like something will come up, and then there will be a St. Patrick's Day one. I think St. Patrick's Day is really the one that I'm missing, and I just don't. I just haven't. I've just been blocked. I like for years. Most of these were written over a course of 3 years. Like I would get like an idea, and then I would write up a little short story. Um, so yeah, it's kind of
Well,
cool.
awesome. I guess we'll leave it there. This has been so much fun. If I can't find somebody to do it with next week, I'll just invite Ansley back. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm here. All
We
right.
can we can we can gab about other stuff. We've got plenty of stuff that we can gab about.
I know, right?
Well
Oh,
then,
by the way, yeah, but my husband says like we have to sacrifice something to the gods because our kids keep getting sick or sent home from school or whatever every time we have lunch. And that is true today. And apparently what the gods sacrificed for us to have a hiccup today was it's so cold the buses didn't start, so my son didn't go to school today.
oh my god. I mean, at least it's not like the did you hear about the one township in our relative area where all the catalytic converters were stolen off the buses and they had to have an e-learning day?
Yes, we have heard about that because my husband is on the school board. So like they are like, oh, how do we like lock up our buses more securely now? So
Yeah, right.
yeah. So my son is on e-learning. So next week, everybody, fingers crossed that everybody goes to school.
As a mom of 3 kids, I feel for you. Yes. I do feel
Okay, well, you and I can talk later, and we'll let our subscribers go.
that's true. So we will say goodbye to everyone that joined us either on the live or watching the recording. And if you're not subscribed to one of us, go subscribe to the other. So if you're subscribed to Ansley, come over to my nerdy side. Or if you're
Yeah,
subscribed to me, go to Ansley and her awesome.
I promise if you're into mysteries at all, my mysteries are super nerdy. Like they're super, super, super nerdy. So, all right,
Bye,
bye.
everyone.